it's Chris Brown with Automotive Fleet, and I'm here with Patrick Macdonald-King. He is CEO of Greenlane Infrastructure. Thank you for joining.
Thanks for coming to our grand opening.
I love the facility. Patrick, I wanted to talk a little bit big picture with you. We're in a disruptive time, I guess you'd call it. We've got the tariff threats. We've got CARB refunding its waiver for advanced clean fleets for commercial vehicles. And then we've got uncertainty on funding with HVIP. Where do you see Greenlane fitting into this? What are the signals that you're seeing in all of this disruption?
Well, disruption is a good word, but it's there's some headwinds that are going on right now. I think most of the market, some of the questions they have is just about the uncertainty because there isn't a lot of clarity on where we're going forward with this stuff and what the bottom line answers are. You know, at the end of the day, a lot of companies are staying the course. Other companies are pacing the market based upon what they have to do if they're moving forward with regulations. I think at the end of the day, there's been over 30 billion that have been invested in this industry over the course of the last 7 or 8 years.
Right.
A lot of that is working on innovation, making the experience better, lowering total cost of ownership. I think even though if the pace does slow down with some companies, they're still made a lot of investments in electrifications, and they might just go at their own pace, but they're still going to study the market and understand what it takes.
Okay. How do you see, or what are you sensing from customers right now within this disruptive environment? Are they pressing pause on their plans, or what do you think?
I wouldn't say that we've run into anybody pressing pause. I'd say you have certain companies that are going to market because they're doing it for reasons of ESG or sustainability.
Yeah.
So they have a definitive path that they're actually going down that they need to accomplish by a certain date, a line in the sand. And electrification of transportation is one of them. You have other companies that were more being driven by regulations and actually rolling out trucks trying to hit certain percentages, which might have been a little ambitious and unrealistic anyways.
Yeah.
So they're probably slowing it down, but they still need to learn the market. They have to understand what it takes to operate an electric fleet.
Sure. Are we at a point where certain electric from on the commercial EV side is reaching cost parity? Are we there yet in certain applications? How do you view?
I wouldn't say we're quite there yet, but and I think some of the grants and the incentives help with that by actually reducing the cost of entry.
Yeah.
I think in regards to refueling and stuff, you can pretty much get an even, but to enter is more expensive.
Yeah.
I think you've seen the parity actually exist within the passenger vehicle side, where it's hit the tipping point where there's going back. It's like crossing a river. You go halfway across it. Are you going to go to this side or this side? I think they've reached it in that side. This industry is still a little immature, but it's still getting there. I think a lot of the costs are the cost of vehicles and everything else.
Yeah.
Where the traditional OEMs optimize their production lines and they reduce costs over the next 2 or 3 years, their next generation.
Sure. Yeah, let me just ask you about use case for right now for this facility. I mean, certainly drayage, you're 70 miles from the port, 70 miles from dropping off for intermodal. Like, would that be the ultimate use case for right now?
I think for this facility, there's a number of them. Drayage coming to the Inland Empire. I mean, this location is right by San Bernardino, Colton, Inland Empire. It's a major freight hub for dropping off freight from the port. So that is a major use case. It's also sort of the anchor of us going to be rolling out our I-15 going up to Las Vegas, as well as other corridors that extend out beyond California. So the use case for this is it'll be probably a combination of drayage. It'll be day cab traffic and intercity driving and deliveries. We are going to be doing some overnight trucks here as well and parking, and some trucks are going to be domiciling here as well.
Okay, and what's the medium duty footprint here too? That would be sort of the city stuff, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, here, anything that's commercial vehicles will support and service. The focus is obviously class 6 to class 8 and being able to service and house those vehicles. So that's essentially why you see these big pull through lanes, and you can actually do a charge with the whole tractor trailer, which is kind of unique.
Sure. And let's talk about the footprint of charging, particularly for commercial EVs. How is that expanding and how is that kind of moving the market?
Well, I think a lot of it is it's, I hate to say a chicken and egg scenario, as we've got a lot of this is you need the infrastructure, you need the vehicles, vice versa, which comes first, and how do businesses survive while they're waiting for the other to adapt. I think in a lot of cases, you just have to be sort of stay the course, work with your customers, talk to your customers. We didn't just build this facility without actually having in mind which customers were going to be using it. And for us to underwrite the cost of a site such as this, we need a commitment and an understanding from customers of who's going to do our utilization and how we're going to drive it.
Okay. Let me ask you about charging technology. Where are we and what can we look forward to in the near future? Is megawatt charging going to play a big role or, how is charging making life easier for the fleet customer
Well, I think megawatt charging is a key component that's going to be coming down the pike in the next 2 years or so.
next 2 years?
I don't think that
Okay.
you have quite enough vehicles on the road today that actually can support it.
Yeah.
So a site like this, we've actually designed it to be able to do, we have something called Trenoir, which is the trenches that go in between. So we can quickly upgrade to megawatt charging once the demand exists.
Okay.
And so our intentions are to do that once a lot of the traditional vehicle OEMs actually release their vehicles and get a standardization. So that's going to be coming very soon. I think the other things that is solar, best actually coming up with power and solutions that don't
Okay.
rely so heavily on the grid
Yeah.
and having the ability to generate some energy on site, being able to sort of do peak shaving with battery storage and have a
Right.
sort of an ecosystem operating on that. And I think the last one that's super important on this is technology.
Yeah.
A lot of us think about, hey, I got to put a charger down and plug it in and charge a truck, but actually having a solution that you can put together for your customers where they can log in, see technology, make a reservation, understand their total cost of ownership, the usage of the energy, as
Yeah.
well as doing things like having it integrated to telematics
Mm.
so that when a truck is either late for a
Yep.
reservation, you understand exactly when it's going to be there and you can reroute them or have them go to a different site to avoid demand charges. So I think technology is a real key component of this as well.
All right. Two more quick questions. First, 99% uptime on these chargers?
You bet.
Okay. Yeah, great. And that lounge is pretty sweet. I mean, treating the drivers right. All right. Last question. This was really field, a dirt field 9 months ago.
It was.
What are the key components to really getting this up and running in 9 months?
Well, it was putting together the A team without a doubt,
Okay.
and actually bringing a number of these folks together and ensuring that we brought in partners that we can rely on, that could build the site, find the right partners, find the electrical partners, find the equipment partners, switch gear, chargers, and so forth. A lot of moving parts to actually have these things put together, as you can imagine. City of Colton was fantastic to work with. They
Sure.
made permitting a lot easier than we normally deal with. So it was just really, we were very fortunate to have a lot of things come together and work in harmony.
Okay, let me just ask you about getting the power to the site.
Mhm.
Was that the primary concern, or were there other concerns that kind of were superseding
Well,
that?
one of the reasons why we chose the site is because it did have some power
Okay,
available. And also
okay.
we had a roadmap in order to scale for phase 2 and get to the next level. So
Sure.
that was something that was very appealing and attractive about the site, not to mention that we're right on the corner of the 10 and the 215,
Yeah,
and which is one of the busiest intersections for trucking in all of North America.
yeah, fair enough. Well, Patrick, thanks for your time. I appreciate
I
it.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.